name is Miss Emily and I'm a children's librarian at the Asheboro Public Library. Welcome back to my creative writing corner. I'm glad to see you guys again. This month, in honor of Thanksgiving, which is coming up, we're going to be talking about the poem Thanksgiving Day by Lydia Maria Child. This is a classic Thanksgiving poem, and you might even recognize the first few lines of it. But before we start talking about this poem, I want to go over a few different literary devices. Literary devices are tools that we can use in our writing or that authors use in their writing to help make their audience feel a certain way, think certain things about things, and to describe things, and to help paint a picture of what's going on. The first literary device that I want to talk about is one that we touched on last month, and I just wanted to remind you guys about it. It's called personification, and that is when we apply people traits to items that are not people. For example, if I say, that rock is happy. Well, a rock doesn't have emotions, so by saying that that rock is happy, I'm making it like a person because that is a person thing to have. Next, I wanted to talk about similes. We use similes to compare two things. One way you can tell if a comparison is a simile is that it'll feature the words like or as. That way we're saying something is like something else, or one thing is as if it were another thing. The next literary device I want to talk about is an onomatopoeia, which is a fun word to say and a hard word to spell. Onomatopoeias are the words that we use to represent sounds, like bang, crash, or pop. Onomatopoeias are also the words we use to represent animal noises, like meow, oink, or moo. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about what a rhyme scheme is. A lot of times when we think of poems, we think about the ends of lines rhyming. Now, they don't always have to rhyme. There are things like free verse where poems can be structured in a way that they don't rhyme. But the poem we're looking at today has a very specific rhyme scheme. There are lots of ways that poets can create rhyme schemes. And a rhyme scheme is just the order in which the ends of the lines rhyme. If we have 4 lines, the first one ends in the word cat. The second one ends in the word bat. The third one ends in the word snow, and the fourth one ends in the word glow. That would be an A, B, B rhyme scheme. But if the first line ended in the word bat, the second line ended in the word snow, the third line ended in the word cat, and the fourth line ended in the word glow, that would be an A, B rhyme scheme. Because the first and third line would rhyme, and the second and fourth line would rhyme. The letter A would represent the first rhyme, and the letter B would represent the second rhyme. So after we read our poem today, we're going to go ahead and see if we can recognize an example of personification, an example of simile, an example of onomatopoeia, and we're going to see if you guys can figure out the rhyme scheme. This one has a kind of confusing rhyme scheme, and it took me a while to figure out what exactly the rhyme scheme would be too. So we'll go over that together. But for now, let's go ahead and get in the Thanksgiving spirit by reading the poem Thanksgiving Day by Lydia Maria Child. Over the river and through the wood, to grandfather's house we go. The horse knows the way to carry the sleigh through the white and drifted snow. Over the river and through the wood, oh how the wind does blow. It stings and tows and bites the nose as over the ground we go. Over the river and through the wood to have a first-rate play. Hear the bells ring, ting-a-ling-ding, hurrah for Thanksgiving Day. Over the river and through the wood trot fast my dapple gray. Spring over the ground like a hunting hound, for this is Thanksgiving Day. Over the river and through the wood and straight through the barnyard gate, we seem to go extremely slow, it is so hard to wait. Over the river and through the wood, now grandmother's cap I spy. Hurrah for the fun, is the pudding done? Hurrah for the pumpkin pie. I really like that poem because it makes me think of visiting family for Thanksgiving. I really like that poem because I think it captures the excitement of Thanksgiving. You can tell that the narrator is really excited to visit their family for Thanksgiving. So much so that the closer they get, it almost seems like time is dragging on to get there. Before we go over the examples of personification, simile, and onomatopoeia that I caught in the poem or that you might have caught in the poem, I want to talk a little bit about the historical context of this poem. So you might have noticed early on in the poem, they say that the horses know the way to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Well, that is because this poem was written in the 1800s before there were cars. So to visit people for Thanksgiving that lived a pretty far ways away, you'd probably have to go in like a horse-drawn sleigh or a horse-drawn wagon. In this poem, we can tell that the narrator is somewhere where it's already snowing. So if they're in the United States of America, they're probably further up north, or maybe they're towards the Midwest area where it's already getting pretty chilly. Now, I want to know if you guys caught the same example of personification that I did. If you want to, and your parents say that it's okay, you can go ahead and write the examples of personification, simile, and onomatopoeia that you found down below. Pause the video here to do that, and then you can go ahead and start the video again, and we can see if we had the same examples. For personification, the example that I found was, "Oh, how the wind does blow, it stings the toes and bites the nose." Why do you think that this is personification? It's personification because wind doesn't have teeth, so how can it bite your nose? Well, it's referring to when your nose gets kind of tingly or hurts a little bit when you're out in the cold for a really long time. But because it doesn't have teeth, it can't actually bite the nose. What can bite is a person or animals. And so by applying that trait to the wind, we are personifying it. We're giving it a person-like quality. Next, let's see which simile you guys found. The simile I found was, "Trot fast, my dapple gray, spring over the ground like a hunting hound." So a dapple gray is referring to the horse, a type of horse. Dapple gray is the color of the horse. And we can tell it's talking about the horse because it's saying trot fast. And trot is a word used to describe how a horse might run. In this simile, they're comparing the trotting horse to the way a hunting dog, the way a dog used for hunting might run really fast to find an animal that you're hunting. You can tell this is a simile because similes use the words like and as. And this uses the phrase like a hunting hound. Next, let's go on to the fun one, the onomatopoeia. So the onomatopoeia that I found is ting-a-ling-ding, which represents the sounds of the bells. And we know that not only because we know that ting-a-ling-ding is the sound a bell makes, but in the line before it says, "Hear the bells ring." Now, out of curiosity, what is your favorite onomatopoeia word? My favorite onomatopoeia word is probably pop because of how short it is. It's really fast to say, like the bursting sound that it represents. Lastly, let's talk about the rhyme scheme that we discussed. You probably noticed as I was reading this poem that the first line of every stanza is the same. Over the river and through the wood. There are 5 lines in each stanza, so A will be the first one. The second line ends with go, the third line ends with way, the fourth line ends with sleigh, and the fifth line ends with snow. So we know this is A, and it doesn't rhyme with any of those other words, so we can go ahead and leave that to the side for now. The second line is going to be rhyme B. What line does that rhyme with? That rhymes with the fifth line, so the fifth line will be B as well. And then the third and fourth lines, ending in way and sleigh, rhyme, so they're going to be the C rhyme. So the first stanza will be A, B, C, C, B. And each stanza goes along in the same pattern. We can assume the third stanza would be A, F, G, G, F. And so on and so forth. And that makes it really easy to get into a kind of sing-songy pattern when you are reading a poem, especially out loud. We could probably easily turn this into a song if we wanted to because of the way that it rhymes and because it's such a predictable rhyme pattern throughout. That is all I have for the Thanksgiving Day poem today. So let's go ahead and move on to our poetry and our writing prompt for next month. So here is our poetry. Here we can see we've got Shel Silverstein and Edgar Allan Poe just hanging out. And hey, they're feeling pretty thankful for each other's company, so they're gonna go ahead and celebrate Thanksgiving together. So we're gonna give them a little turkey to celebrate. And this turkey represents the poem we just read, Thanksgiving Day by Lydia Maria Child. Now that we finished up the creative writing for this month, we've got to do our creative writing prompt. The creative writing prompt isn't homework, but it is something to get your creative ideas flowing. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a creative writing prompt, and if it sounds like something interesting to you, you can go ahead and work on writing a poem or a story that goes along with the prompt. And we actually have these creative writing journals. They're just plain brown journals that you can decorate however you like. You can doodle on the covers, and we've got these nifty creative writing stickers so that you can show your creative writing pride. So let's go ahead and pull our creative writing prompt for the upcoming month. No peeking. Look around the current room you are sitting in and choose 3 random objects that are nearby. Now write a story or poem that includes those 3 objects. So stop, look around you right now, and see if there are any 3 items that you can fit into a single story or poem. Bonus points if they're really weird items that wouldn't normally go together. Thank you guys for joining me for another Creative Writing Corner. I put out these Creative Writing Corners every month. Next month, for December, we are doing holiday Mad Libs. So we'll have Mad Libs for a bunch of different holidays. We'll have worksheets that you can go ahead and print out and maybe take those on long. We'll have a few worksheets that you can print out. That way, if you're going on if you're traveling for the holidays, you can go ahead and print those out and maybe do some fun Mad Libs while you're in the car. And do some fun Mad Libs while you're traveling. We'll also be talking about the parts of speech. So we'll be talking about what makes a noun, a verb, an adverb. Thanks for joining me, and happy writing. Bye guys.